southern Egypt. Through the waste of the Sahara, the Nile cuts a green swath. A few miles west of the river, in this wasteland, 3,500 years ago, Egyptian royals began their quest for immortality. The Valley of the Kings. Here they carved out more than 60 royal tombs. Led by renowned Egyptologist Dr. Zahi Hawass, an all-Egyptian team has come to one of them to retrieve history's most famous corpse.
We are in the presence of a king, and that's why we should look at him with respect.
Tut was just 9 years old when he rose to the throne. He ruled Egypt for close to a decade, a pharaoh of the 18th dynasty, 3,000 years ago. To his people, he was half man, half God. But until his discovery, Tut was unknown. There is almost no record of his life anywhere in Egypt, except on the walls of his tomb. Those walls tell us he was an avid hunter, a young warrior king in battle. They also show a man deeply in love with his wife, Akhenasamen, the daughter of Nefertiti. But somehow, his life ended abruptly. No one knows exactly why. For the first time in decades, preparations are underway to open the pharaoh's sarcophagus. But Tut's death isn't the only focus of this investigation. Several other deaths, thousands of years later, have an eerie connection to this tomb. The deadly fate of those who opened it. They call it King Tut's Curse. November 1922. A British archaeologist named Howard Carter is exploring the Valley of the Kings. It is the find of a lifetime. The first intact royal tomb ever discovered in Egypt. But as the workers haul out artifacts, some wonder if the archaeologists are desecrating the tomb. A commentator in the London Times proclaims, "The curse of the pharaoh has struck." Six weeks after the official opening of the burial chamber, Lord Carnarvon is found dead in his hotel room. Then, one by one, others associated with the excavation start to die. The legend of King Tut's curse is born. Inside King Tut's tomb, the investigation into the pharaoh's death is growing urgent. Because of concerns about the condition of Tut's mummy, Hawass has only 3 hours to conduct the CAT scan. As soon as the king leaves his sarcophagus, the clock starts ticking. This is the real Tut, not the image of the golden mask, but the mummy of a young man who died too soon. When the cotton shroud is pulled back, it reveals something shocking.
The condition is very bad. The chest is completely damaged. The hand is divided to pieces. And the only good condition is the face.
How did this happen? 1922, the Valley of the Kings. As Carter descends into the earth, he has no idea he's found the tomb of a king. It takes Carter weeks to explore the full extent of the tomb and to find another room packed with gold beyond. a burial chamber with a huge gilded shrine almost filling the space. Inside, 3 more lavish shrines. Finally, a stone sarcophagus and a series of nested golden coffins. The last cradles a mummy with a mask of solid gold. A king resting in splendor. Carter knows that there are valuable artifacts wrapped in the linen of the mummy. But when they try to remove the body, they find it's stuck to the coffin. Oils and resin poured over the king in the final death ritual have turned into a kind of glue. The mummy won't budge. Then Dr. Douglas Derry, the man in charge of removing Tut from the coffin, turns to a drastic solution. With a heated knife in hand, he starts to cut the body. First, Derry hacks off Tut's legs. Then, trying to lever the torso free, he snaps Tut's neck, leaving the head and mask stuck in place. The pharaoh comes out of the coffin in pieces. Unknown to the rest of the world, Carter's team has mangled the remains of the boy king. If anything could provoke a curse, this would have done it. The very first glimpse inside King Tut came in 1968. A team from Liverpool University, led by Professor R.G. Harrison, X-rayed his body. Their most surprising find was what looked like a strange blood clot at the base of his skull.
This is within normal limits, but in fact it could have been caused by a hemorrhage under the membranes overlying the brain in this region. And this could have been caused by a blow on the back of the head, and this in turn could have been responsible for death.
The discovery inspired a theory that Tut had been murdered by a deliberate blow to the head. The idea caught fire around the world. But nearly 40 years later, Robert Connolly, the last surviving member of Harrison's team, still has questions about those X-rays.
The X-rays that we've got, good though they are, none of these X-rays tells us anything about the cause of death. If Tutankhamun had been injured on the back of his head, there was perhaps a blood clot, which in time could cause calcification of this membrane. But from the X-ray, there is no evidence of damage to the skull. That doesn't mean to say there isn't any damage. The CT scan will once again reveal, once and for all, whether there is any damage to the back of the skull.
Another theory grew out of a second clue.
The chest X-rays are particularly interesting. The sternum is missing, many of the ribs are missing, many of the ribs are broken. It has been suggested that he might have been involved in an accident, perhaps fell from a chariot or from a horse. That could have been cause of death.
The idea is plausible. Paintings on the walls and the 6 chariots in Tut's tomb all show that he loved to ride and hunt. But of all the competing theories, the best circumstantial case supports murder, because 3,300 years ago, there was a very clear motive for killing the boy king. Tut may have been the son or nephew of one of Egypt's most divisive leaders, the heretic pharaoh, Akhenaten. Akhenaten was a radical who destroyed the foundation of Egyptian society. Along with his wife, the legendary Nefertiti, Akhenaten threw out the old gods of Egypt and replaced them with a single deity, the Aten, or sun god. And he was hated for it. Did those who despised him attempt to erase his heirs as well? Did they kill Tut? More than 1,000 miles away, in northern England, another mummy is also giving up secrets from its past.